Just delaying.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Elaine. How you doing?
Not bad. You?
Having a very quiet weekend, except we had a show there on Friday that was really great. This band from BC. Hi there, Julie. How you doing? You have a crazy zooming thing that happens on your camera, eh?
I got one of those new iPad Pros, and it has that, it follows you so that you keep staying in the middle or something like that. And I don't know how to change that or turn it off.
It's kind of cool. Huh? It's neat. It's like it turns you into a movie.
Yeah, it's supposed to be good if you're on FaceTime or something like that, with people, and it always keeps you in the center, I guess. But
Yeah.
they keep adding these new changes to things, and technology is not my forte.
No, it's not mine either. I mean, I'm rudimentary. I make my way just barely. And Jen hates it when I go to the place to upgrade my cell phone or whatever, because they always convince me to get stuff. Like the last time it was a tablet for Sylvia, and the guy, I swear to God, the guy said, because of your plan and you haven't taken advantage of this and this tablet is free, right? So I was like, yeah, that's great. Right on. Bring it on. Free tablet. It's not free at all. It's like $20 a month or something like that we're paying for it. And, we thought, okay, well, I guess, Sylvie will use it. Nobody uses it. It sits there like in the bookshelf. So, I'm susceptible. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know that feeling, but
Younger people just tell you need something and you're like, oh, I guess I need that. Scared to be behind. Anyway, I'm going to have to use Dad's fiddle today because my gig on Friday, I unraveled my A string on my German, which,
oh no.
I was kind of thinking that these strings were at the end because it's the second A string on there. And that's usually the sign, eh? Like, because your A string is the first to go. So when you have a set of strings, usually you have to change the A about halfway through the set of strings life because the A gets more use than any other string. It's like the middle, so it's kind of constantly used. And so that's why in this set of strings, I was very pleased when I opened it up that there was 2 A strings in there.
Cool.
Apparently it's a new thing they're doing. It costs a little more, but it saves you a trip, so it's a good thing. Oh, Sharon's running late. That's all right. No problem.
And how often, do you wait until it unravels, or is there some other time when you should be thinking about changing them?
Yeah, I should have not done it like a week ago, and I was thinking about it because, it's hard to notice. Here, I'm going to hit record because this is all good information. Anyway, it's hard to notice when you need new strings. It takes a lot of time for it to show itself, and most people don't realize they need new strings until they get new strings. And then you put them on there and you're like, wow, you don't even read it because it's a gradual degradation of the sound and the response, and you don't really notice. Now, I've got to the point where with these ones, I've been using these for a good few years now. They're called Il Canon. They're from a company called Larson, and it's named after Paganini's violin, which was Il Canon, the canon. And they're really, they're my favorites I've ever used. And I've gone through a few different kinds of strings. For a long time, I used these ones here that are on Dad's fiddle, which are called Perazzis, Ava Perazzis. They have this green thing there. And they're kind of like these ones. The thing is that these strings that I use are, first of all, more expensive than regular strings. So, regular set of strings would be dominants, made by Tomastic. And they usually go for about $60. Now it's like 80. Last time I bought a set of dominants for a student, it was $80. And so that's your usual set. For me, I was using those, and I was going through 3 sets a year because they would unravel and get get bad on me, or the D would unravel as well. So then the guy at Heinel suggested I try these strings, which were the Eva Perazzis a long time ago, and they're way better. They have the same. I like Dominance because they're loose and they project lots of sound, and with the stuff you do with your left hand, you can really hear because of that. But just buying 3 sets a year sucks. So the Eva Perazzis, they're more expensive. They're like $120 for a set, but they would last me a whole year. See that? Now that's nice and it's good, but they're very slinky and very soft. And so for a person that's learning, it would be hard to handle those strings. It's really easy to choke them off with a little bit too much weight because they're so loose and slinky. The reason that I like the fact that they're loose and slinky is because that means that they vibrate more. Because they're looser. So they just vibrate wider, give you more sound, It's easy to cut down on sound on a fiddle. It's hard to create more sound, So that gives me headroom. So that's why I like the slinky strings. But like I say, you have to have a bit of finesse with your bow. So otherwise, it can be a bit frustrating with those types of strings. So for most people, I say the Dominants are good because if you're not playing 4 or 5 times a week, the Dominants are going to last you a good long time and give you that middle of the road experience, which I think is best for most people. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to use Dad's fiddle today. Put the German over here. And an orchestra member gave me 2 bows to take to Heinel, so I think I'm going to go do that maybe tomorrow. I'll go drive down there. And also, I dropped my German here in my studio very slightly, just like this far off the ground. It kind of slipped and kind of landed on the ground. I grabbed it again, and it seems totally fine, but they have a camera that they put inside the fiddle at Heinel, and I'm going to have them put the camera in there and make sure everything's okay. Because, sometimes you can think they're okay, but they actually haven't really survived that well. All right, well, so let's get started. Beautiful day to play a few tunes. There's Elaine. Hi, Elaine. And oh my God, but this show on Friday was it was a great show, first of all, really great show, but you couldn't get 2 more different bands on the same stage. Like the first band were all young people, millennials. They're called the Aerialists, and they're from BC. There's a guy that plays guitar and fiddle. He's a good fiddle player too. And his name is Adam, and there's a girl called Elise from BC who plays the fiddle. Now, both of them went to Berkeley, so they're quite good musicians. And then there's a young one from Scotland, Mari, playing the harp, and she's really good. So, but their music, they play little bits of tunes, right? Or they'll play a tune kind of really slow and stylized with these heavy-duty arrangements behind it. And so they went on first, and they were kind of very soft and ambient, and with these nice arrangements. It was quite beautiful sounding, it's just certain kind of atmospheric thing. And then me and the lads got up there, and I started off by saying, we have a lot of respect for these Aerialists because me and these guys find it completely impossible to remember an arrangement. So I said, you're going to see a lot of contrast here. It was a huge contrast. And there was a bunch of young people there. They seemed to really dig it. So that's good. That's what I'm always gunning for these days, is to get the millennials into the music. And they were quite into it there on Friday. Okay, so I'm going to tune up. Oh, tuner froze. In here. Okay. There we go, that's working good. All righty. Okay, so let's start off with our usual G major practice, and then I thought today would be a good opportunity to practice a bunch of stuff that we've done in the past, try to strengthen, say, 4 or 5 tunes and get them a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit more in tune, so we can get our repertoire that we have kind of up to a level that you feel good about. But to do that, let's work out the key of G. So we'll do a scale, we'll do an arpeggio, we'll do it a couple of times. We'll do, say, thirds, or maybe we could do. Maybe I'll introduce you guys to an exercise that you can use to practice jigs in the key of G, but also is really good practice in the key of G. So anyway, so let's start off with our scale. Ready, slow. Okay, geez, I really like this fiddle. It's not as loud as my German, but it's got a sweet sound. Okay, let's try our arpeggio, same speed. Ready, go. Now we got to do that again because I choked my G string. Did you guys hear that? Oh, yeah, and then it came in at the very end. See that? And that's what I was saying about these loose strings. It's so easy to do that. Did you hear how much the pitch dropped there? Like almost a semitone, right? So yeah, so that's what you got to be careful of. And it could be with your string. That's possible with your strings too. So just remember, lots of motion. Okay, let's do that arpeggio once more. Ready? Go. All right. Now let's go through our double stops in this key because that's the best way to practice your touch with the bow and everything. So we'll do that, and then I'll show you this little scale in triplets. So ready? Double stops. Okay, now I don't know how that went for you guys, but I would like to try it again because I had a couple of little chokies there, and it's always good to get it. Maybe we'll move our bow a little quicker this time around. So it'll be more like this. Like that, so I can get some momentum with my bow so I don't choke these strings off. All right. We'll give it a try there. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, how are people feeling? Yeah? That's good. A little bit more motion is good. How you doing there, Sharon? Good. So we're just practicing some double stops here in the key of G. I think we'll do it one more time for Sharon there because she was so busy clicking. A lot of clicking we got to do these days. It's amazing how much clicking you got to do. I was saying to the kids who were trying to watch a show the other day, and I said, when I was a kid, you turn on the TV at the right time, show's there. Now you have to go through all these menus. It's like 20 on buttons before you get to watch a show. It's insane. They seem quite familiar with them all. Okay, let's try her one more time at that speed. Ready, go. Mine were really good that time. Bows sitting nicely on the 2 strings there and moving away. Everybody feeling better about their double stops? It's coming along? Yeah, a little bit at a time. Slow progress with double stops for sure. There's so many things going on there. Anyway, so let me show you this scale. So a scale in triplets. I use this to help people play jigs because I have a few people that are really, really kind of intent in getting the right rhythm under their arm. They are people that can already kind of play in tune and know a bunch of tunes, and that's not really their concern. They're trying to get, the accent right. And so I developed this kind of little exercise because sometimes it's hard to work on getting the sound of a tune right when you're trying to remember the tune or trying to, work out the parts of the tune or make sure you remember the ending or whatever. It can be hard, right? It takes away from whatever style you're trying to put on it. So there's this little scale. It's called a scale in triplets. And it's where you play a triplet starting on each note of a major scale. A little up triplet, up the scale, right? And you do that on each note and it forms this pattern that you don't have to think about too much. I'll show you. So if we were doing it in G, we'd start on the G and we'd play 3 notes. So G, A, and B. And then you play the next note of the scale, which is an A. We're going to play the triplet there. See? And then the next note is a B. Next note is a C. And that's how we get to the top. Now, the reason that I play the A, which is above the high G of the scale, is because when you do a triplet starting on the F, it's going to end up including the high A. See how that works? And then the top of the scale would be this. And then we come down. So we don't have an extra string. So we got to do a little jiggy there. So we'll do this. Just so that it feels more complete on your ear, you know? Because if some people have trouble with that. So that's how a scale in triplets works. Now, once you get that under your fingers, it'll be a pattern you can do in any key. So you can practice it in D if you want. A. E minor. See that? Anything you want really, as long as you know the pattern. And then what people do is they get it up to speed and they put a jig rhythm on it. And when you get the pattern under your fingers, you really don't have to think about it. You can concentrate on your right hand. Some people like it better than the tunes. So let's try putting it together. Let's see if we can put it together. Open G, 1, 2, G, 1, 2, 3, G, 2, 3, open, like that. Okay, I'll go nice and slow, and we'll start with open G. So open 1, 2. Ready, go. 1. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2. Down we go. 2 and open. 1. E. 3. 2. 1. Open. 3. 2. 1. Open. 3. 2. 1, 2, 1. Open. That's what we do at the end. We do 1, 2, 1, open to finish off. Now everybody looks like they're handling that pattern pretty good. Okay, it looks pretty good. Sharon, I'm trying to watch your hand, and it's kind of funny because you got the blurred background, and it keeps closing in on your hand. A couple of points it covered your hand. I guess it thought your hand wasn't doing anything exciting, so it covered it up. Yeah, it's okay. It really did. I saw that you were doing it right. I noticed that it was kind of funny. Anyway, let's try it again. Now that we figured out the pattern, let's try. And let's try not to put a gap between the triplets. Okay? So you want it to be smooth. 1, D, 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 D. You don't want it to be da, 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 because that's not going to help our jig rhythm. See that? So we want to join them together. Now, it's hard at first because you're trying to figure it out. But let's go slow enough that you don't have to stop and figure out the next one and see if we can smoothen it all out. Okay. Ready, 2, 3. That's the top. Now let's come down. 2, 1, open. Ready, go. All right, now how's everybody feeling about that pattern? Anybody having problems? No? It's all good? Okay, cool. Let's try it just a tiny bit faster. See if you can get the feel of what it's eventually going to be. But for this week, it really don't worry about jig rhythm. Just try to get this pattern under your hand so that you can transfer it to other keys. All right? It's the same pattern, it just depends on which key you're in to get the spacing right, and then you can fly right through it, okay? So let's try a little tiny bit faster for smoothing. So it's going to be like this. Ready, go. Looked like it worked for everybody. That's really good. So practice that this week. See if you can get that under your fingers. I think it's also on my YouTube channel, doing it on its own. You know, I'll make sure. But it's going to be very, very good practice, and we can work on jig rhythm. Okay, now let's see. So the last things we were working on was Devil's Dream, and we had a little bit of, what was the song tune that we were working, the last song tune we did? Anybody remind me? Is it Wild Rover, maybe? Yeah? Well, we could do Wild Rover. It's always good practice in the key of G. Let's do that one, shall we? Just to get a bit of a warm up in the key of G. It's a very cheerful tune. Okay, and let's try it, say, with speed. Let's try it kind of like... I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, and... One more time. All right, how's everybody feeling about Wild Rover? You hear I was putting some double stops in there, eh? And we know them. We've practiced them.
Man, I know it's just practice, but I have a problem in the key of G doing the close C because when I put my finger down for the B, I find I go out of tune
Yeah.
to bring the C back up because I guess my fingers are folding, so I'm putting different pressure on, like, so I place it on the B, then when I close up, my hand goes up a bit, and then so when we're doing anything like CV, like the second B gets off. Is there any way to place the fingers? Like, what's your opinion?
There is. No, you bring up a really good point. So it has to do with being aware of your hand. So with the close position, the close to or the low to, that's the way the classical people refer to it. They always say that you have to figure out which one you are, because there's a few possibilities for the close to on the fiddle. So there's either really on top of each other, and that's to get the B and the C in tune, right? So some people are what they call touching. So that's really on top of each other. That's like the two fingers touching each other the entire way, and then the B is in tune and the C is in tune. Some people are, for me, occasionally touching. So it means that they kind of graze each other on the way by, but they're not kind of on top of each other. Do you see what I mean? And then you have the third possibility, which is not touching. So there's a little tiny bit of a gap. So I have some students that have very slender fingers, and they need to, if they don't have a gap there, then it means the B is going to be sharp or the C is going to be flat. Okay, so you need to figure out which one you are. I am occasionally touching. Okay, my buddy Jerry Holland, he had gigantic sausage fingers. And so he said that when he put his third finger down, when it was time to play the second finger, he had to kind of scoot it back up because his fingers were so big that when he put the third finger down, it would push the second one out of the way. See what I mean? It's like a bunch of McDonald's trying to be in the bed together at the same time. Somebody ends up out of the bed, you know? So he said that he had to actually kind of do them independently. Otherwise, one would push the other. So you really just have to be aware of your hand and what do you figure you are, Sharon? Do you figure you're touching or not touching? Or when you say off with the B, which way do you mean?
Okay, so when I first put the B down, I think my finger is flatter. When I bring this down, I curl my fingers a little more. So maybe I have to be a touching. Maybe I have to always be beside. Now, whether that's enough space, I'll have to figure that. It's because I when I press B, my hand's a little like that, and then when I do that, I have to do that. So maybe I have to learn to. I learned to do that all the time. Maybe I just have to do the B the same way all the time. But my arm gets lazy. My hands get lazy, and I.
So it looks, just from watching you, it looks like a little bit like you could get your hand over the fiddle a little bit more. That'll help a little bit with that, right? Okay. And then the other thing is, it looks like your little attempts there that I was watching, it looks like you have to be touching. Okay. So, yeah. And with the touching people, you have to make sure that second finger is that first finger is tucked up in there. See that?
Yeah.
That's what people refer to it as, tucked up in there. So when you take your second finger down, it's got the room. So what I'm thinking is, from your description, that your C puts your B flat.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that means that you are touching, and you gotta tuck that B in there. You gotta make sure every time you go to play it, assume that it's moved back a little bit, and tuck it in and press it a little harder up against the tube. You see what I mean? Also, when you play your C, always try to put both fingers down so that you can get used to that move and start to practice that squishing. Okay? That's a really good question, though, Sharon. Did you guys get that information? Because it could affect you. It's like any change, like the low two, could affect the regular finger you have down. It's very, very common, especially with beginners. All right, so now let's do that again. Wild Rover again. Sharon's going to try out her move, and we'll see if it goes better. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. 2. From the top. One more time. With feeling. You get along any better that time with the 2, Sharon? Oh, good. Okay. You'll learn the move, whatever it is. If Jerry Holland could conquer it with those gigantic sausage fingers, then you can, I'm sure. Okay? That's great. Now, it was occurring to me while we were playing in the key of G there, one of the tunes we did at the show on Friday, because we had to do a set at the end that used everybody, both bands. And so we used the universal language of folk musicians, which is Irish music. And we played the Kesh Jig. And it was really fun. And I was thinking of you guys while we were playing it. Because it was because the violinist from the band, her name is Elise, and she just doesn't know that many tunes. So in situations like that, it's always easier for them to pick the tunes, and me and the boys probably know them. You know what I mean? So they tell us what they know, and then we did it. So we did the Kesh, and we also did the Swallowtail. Yeah, both. So they did the Kesh first. I kind of think it's the Swallowtail is better first. So I thought, why don't we play that? Why don't we do that? I'll show you what it sounded like on Friday when we were playing it. It was about this fast. See that? It was really rocking, actually. It just goes to show you that even simple tunes like that can really, really get rocking, you know? So I thought maybe we could try to experience a little bit of that. So why don't we play Swallowtail followed by the Kesh? We'll figure out a tempo that's going to make everybody feel comfortable. We'll practice it at that tempo, and then we'll try upping our game. Because we've been practicing so much in the key of G, it really shouldn't present too many problems, okay? So first of all, let's find a tempo that's going to work for everybody. I'm going to try a few, and you guys, I will respond to your heads. What do you think of that one? Is that too slow? Or do you think that's good? Is it going to work? Let's give it a try, okay? 2 times each for each tune. And then we'll see, we'll address any problems and then see if we can up it a little bit. Also, I'm going to put my metronome on so you guys can trust me. And that was 85, just to let you know, on the metronome. I'll show you. Oh, no, maybe 80. It was 80. So this is just for you guys' reference. If this works at 80 2 times through, that's going to be your magical practicing tempo. Okay? Let's give it a try. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3. more time. All right, now how do we do at 80? Not bad? I keep seeing this glint on my nose. I think it's glitter. My house is covered in glitter. How did you do there, Sharon?
I'm having problems with that speed, which is a little depressing because I really used to play these ones quite well a long time ago. But I like that speed. I think that's a good speed. I just have to get my fingers back.
It looked like you were mostly having trouble with the cash, though.
Yes, I was. I mean, I'm looking at the music, but I was trying. Yeah, I was having trouble.
You're trying to glance?
I'm sorry?
You're trying to glance? You're trying to just use it for glancing?
Well, in the end, I thought, oh, I better just look away and see if I remember it. So I think it's just the speed. I think I just have to practice. I like that speed, though. I don't want to.
I have a suggestion, and that is a good speed. I was looking at everybody else. Did you and Elaine there, Julie and Elaine, did you feel okay about that speed? Everything was working and smooth?
Yeah, it was fine. I was having trouble with the ending, the B ending on cash. That was where I was having problems with it.
This is the high part. It's a hard one. It's the hardest part of the tune, I would say. And the trouble is the high B, but mostly it's the other notes, right? Because you reach for your high B and your whole hand goes up and you're scrambling around trying to find those notes on the way down. So I always reiterate this. Don't let that high B make the whole B part suffer, okay? Because there's only one in that ending, just one. And you don't want that one note to make the rest of it suffer. So if it comes out a little flat, just try harder next time. Okay, so let's try. I think we should do. How about you, Julie? Do you have any feedback about any of them, or is it just to keep practicing?
No, that was a good tempo for me, and because I found I was even able to get a couple of double stops in at the beginning of the cache there on those long notes, where you can hit the open string, which is good.
That's great. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work on the cache itself. So we're going to back her up 5 points on the metronome to 75. So just to try to, for Elaine to get that high part and for Sharon to get more familiar and decide she doesn't need to look at the music. And so we're going to do that at 75 and we'll do it twice and hopefully that'll address the issues. And then we'll do the set again at 80 and see how it goes. Okay? So cache jig at 75, nice and slow. I'll give you an idea what that is. So... So just a little breath more of thinking time, okay? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, and... more time. Okay, a little bit more success it looked like that time around, eh? Yeah. I never have my keys in my pocket when I'm playing the fiddle because if my bow catches anything that's a little bit big, it catches. Because I never really learned to play the proper way when my leg dropped. I could just kind of spread. Anyway, that's what happened there. My bow got caught on my keys. So how are we feeling now? Sharon, how are you feeling with the cash? It looked like you were doing a lot better.
I was doing a lot better. I stopped looking at the music.
Ah, yes.
No, it's getting a lot better. It's getting a lot better.
Okay, good.
Sometimes I lose it a little bit, but yeah, it's getting a lot better.
Okay. How about you, Elaine? What's that?
I don't think I'm in tune though, but I'm getting at least the fingering correct.
Are you? So which way are you? Are you a little flat, maybe?
I might be a little sharp. I might be going too far,
Creeping
down
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a normal thing. So let me give you a prescription though, because that's normal. Like, and that's why I always ask if you feel like you're out of tune, are you flat or sharp? If you're flat, you can just press harder across the board, bring everything up. If you're sharp, you just got to relax that hand. Constantly try to relax that hand back to place. I used to tell people to put your hand back to place if you're creeping up, like put it there. But I found that made things worse because the effort is what brings you up the fiddle. The relaxing is what puts you back home. See that? The relaxing of the hand. You come back there. I do it all the time. I have to do it all the time. I find since coming back after the pandemic and I do gigs, there's a certain amount of pressure now that wasn't there before. Like each gig has to work and has to be successful or else, for all of us musicians, you feel like it's hopeless. You know what I mean? So I find there's a little bit of tension in my left hand. And so, like, for instance, on Friday night, I can think of 3 times that I actively exhaled and relaxed my left hand to get kind of back to the end of the fiddle, but also not tensing up, because when I tense up, it's really it really makes it hard for me to get through a night, like the left hand, So and it helped a lot. 3 times that I had to just let her go, 3 times. So it's a normal thing. So if you find you're sharpening, that's what you got to do. You got to try to relax the hand back to place. Okay. Now, Elaine, how did you do with your high part this time around?
Yeah, that worked, that tempo, and I got it.
Okay, good.
In my head again, so it's
yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so now I'm going to put her back up to 80, and we're going to do the both tunes and we'll see if we have any better success. I think we will. So up we go, up to 80. Okay, just the tiniest bit of a push you're going to feel here. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3. That looked like more success to me, but all I had to go by is looks. Feeling okay? Feeling better? A little bit better?
Yeah, I feel a little better. I got 50% more of the notes in the Cash J. Swallowtail was a lot better.
Oh, good.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting there.
And how's your 1-2 thing going there?
It seemed to be okay.
Okay, that's good.
Enough that I couldn't really tell if I was out of. No, I was pretty good. I think it was pretty good.
Great,
You
that's
don't really
good.
notice it as much here. You don't notice it as much in these two songs. I don't.
Okay.
Kind of skipping this. You're not doing the close C very often, right?
No, that's true. You're right on the A string. No, we're doing it on the E string quite a lot, but not the A string. But the E string is a little different.
Yeah, I was having problems on the E string keeping up with the Cash J. So.
Okay, yeah. So I would suggest you guys working on the Kesh Jig at 75 to give yourself time to do all that stuff that you needed to do, that thinking. And then next time we're going to try it again at 80, and we're going to see if we can push it even further, because I think we could.
I have tunable. Where do I set the metronome? Like, where do I?
You
Like,
see
I've
over
never
the
set-
bottom, there's
Yeah.
there's like I think it's a bell symbol.
Okay, I see it. Okay.
So that's your
And then-
metronome there.
Okay, it says tempo 66. Okay, that's where I would change it to 75, I guess.
Correct, yes. Now, with the other two numbers, there's two numbers there. You see that? There's beats and subdivisions.
Yes.
You want to set both of them. You can set beats at 2 if you want. That gives you 2 clicks per measure.
Oh,
for
I
the
see.
degree. See that?
Okay.
It doesn't really matter. I tend to set mine at 1 for everything.
Okay.
It's just giving you a straight click, because those beats and subdivisions are kind of for more advanced purposes, and you can use them in all kinds of ways. Like my wife does, for instance. She uses those subdivisions a lot. But for basic use, 1 for beats, 1 for subdivision, and then you can put your tempo to whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay, it's a really
Yeah.
good way to work on things.
Okay, thank you.
We lived with the metronome when I was a kid. We had a wooden one. It was a triangle one with the swing arm, and it was constantly on. Everything yep, there you go, Julie. That's the one, and it's a good one, and it's not cheap. I remember it was like, because I bought one for the wife because she was nostalgic, and I got one for her for her anniversary, and it was like $300 or something like that. And it kind of sucked because the apartment we had in Toronto at the time had a leaky roof we didn't know about. And we woke up one morning and there was like water had come down the whole wall and window and onto the metronome. And it was a little bit warped, and then it wouldn't keep good time after that. It was really unfortunate. But I felt bad about the landlords that we had were 90. And the one fellow, the guy, Vic, it was Rose and Vic. And it was their last time renting. They sold the building right after that. But they were 90, the both of them. And poor Vic was suffering from emphysema. We had no heat in our apartment. He came up to fix it. He barely made it up the stairs, and he had to sit down on the chair for about a half hour and drink a cup of tea before he could do anything. His eyes were watering. So I wasn't, I feel bad about going out. Give me my money for my metronome. But anyway, so that's what we had. We had that, just like Julie just showed us there. What I liked about that one, what I still like about that one, is the swing arm. Because when you're looking at a flashing light, it's much harder because you're trying to anticipate the next time it's going to flash, right? Or even a click. Like you're just kind of waiting and you're wondering when it's going to come in. With the swing arm, you can follow it. You can anticipate when it's going to hit that thing. And it gives you a way better feeling of the tempo, because that's what the tempo is. The tempo is the time between the clicks, right? That you're measuring. Now, when I was in jazz school working with the metronome, I did a lot of it in jazz school because, I didn't have lessons on the drums at all. Like I had a couple of lessons, and then on the 4th lesson, I showed up for my drum lesson. I was 14, and I had forgotten to bring the check up from the car to give the guy. And the guy was called Lonnie Jones in Sydney above McKnight's Music. And he made me sit outside the office and not give me the lesson because I forgot to bring the check, right? It was like not on. And then my dad picked me up and I told him, and he was completely upset. And the guy came in the office to get his check, and my dad gave him the check, and then said, "Okay, now it's your choice. You can leave from the door or the window." So that was it for drum lessons. After that, that was it. So when I went to jazz school, I was really behind with that. Really way behind everybody else with the skills involved in playing the drums. And one of the main things I did was have that metronome. At the time, I used a drum machine. That's a really good thing to use as a metronome because it's more interesting than just a click. And I had that in the headphones, and I had it right next to my hi-hat pedal so I could shut it off and turn it on with my foot. And I just constantly use the metronome. The big thing that helped me with that, and it was my professor Skip Beckwith that told me about this, when your metronome is doing this, in your head you're thinking taka 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 taka. See that? It's called subdividing the beat. And it's because if you try to get all those takas in there, you're probably going to have waited long enough for that next click. See that? Taka 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 taka. Whereas if you're just trying to feel it, you're going to jump the gun. You're going to do it ahead of the beat. And so that's what that guy told me. And ever since that, I do that subdivision in my head. See that? Even if it's really, really slow. Yaka taka 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 yaka taka taka. See that? And I can stay on it no problem because I'm thinking that in my head. I'm filling in that time. See that? So that's the best way to work with the metronome, is to keep that in mind. The slower you are with the metronome, the better it is for your inner metronome. And that's what the guy Skip told me. He said, right now, all you should do is practice slow. And so I had the metronome at 50, which is extremely slow. And I was just sitting there going, ding, ding, ga ding, ding, ga ding, all day. And I would try to do it 5 minutes and then 10 minutes because you can't do it forever. And then spell myself a little bit and then try it again. After a while, I would shut the metronome off while I was doing it. Ga-ding, ding, ga-ding, like mute it. And then I would hit that unmute button and see if I had sped up or slowed down, see if I was still with it. And it was after I started to discover that every time I pressed the unmute button, I was still with it, that I was getting somewhere. You see what I mean? But all that work was on the slow, okay? Always on the slow. I think the fastest I did that was like 70, because once your sense of time gets strong, faster is actually easier because you're waiting less. See that? It's kind of like a dancer or trying to dribble a basketball slowly. It's really, really hard, right? So when you get that base skill, going faster becomes easier. Okay, so that's the best way to work with the metronome at this point, and that's what I suggest you do. And you don't have to follow it like to the letter. Like if you leave the metronome a little bit and you end up coming back to it, it's all part of the process. Don't sweat it like too much. Like it shouldn't rule your life, but it is a really, really good way to get this rhythm under your arm. Okay, now let's leave those tunes and let's think about the A ones that we were doing. We were doing the Devil's Dream, I think. And were we doing anything with it? Did we have a tune that we could play with it? What was that one? Miss McLeod's? Perfect. Awesome. So let's work on Devil's Dream because it's kind of new. And then we'll work on Miss McLeod's a little, and then we'll smash them together and see what tempo we can handle. Now with the Devil's Dream, I'm trying to remember how fast we were doing it. Somewhere about that tempo, do you think? Does that sound right, or is that too slow or too fast? Is it okay? We'll have a go at it anyway. We'll see what happens. Okay. Let me get it up on my screen before we start, because I'm just going to end up improvising, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. A lot of improvising happened on Friday. A lot. Ross is starting to get into it too now, which is kind of fun because he was always, Highland Pipers, they don't do that. Okay. All right. Maybe we should go quickly up and down an A major scale quick just because of all the G work we did there. A and G are pretty different. So let's go quickly. Not quickly, but we won't spend a lot of time on the key of A, but we'll just go up and down the key of A quick. Here's your low A. Sharon, if you can't find it, I can share my screen. No problem. Anyway, let's do the scale first. Ready, go. All right, let's try the arpeggio while we're at it. Ready, go. Okay, that should be put our hand in good shape for the Devil's Dream, I'd say. Everybody feeling okay about A? Okay, good. So let's see. I think that's going to work. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3. Okay, just gonna check in, make sure everything's in place there. It looks good. Everybody feeling okay at that tempo? Okay, good. So let's play it. Let's do it like, I don't know, if we got the arm 3 times, okay? And I'll kind of make it a little faster every time. Let's see how we do here. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Little faster. right. Challenging tune in a lot of ways. A lot of string changing. Now, I was watching people during the string changing, and it's looking pretty good. I'm not seeing a whole lot of this. I am seeing a little of this. And that's, when you watch me do it, you won't see any of that. See that? So I'm still seeing a bit of arm, but it's much better. At least it's not like this. Which when we first started this tune, it was more like that. So it's getting better, but that's the way, that's why we're doing this tune. And that's the way to get through that second part. It's the smallest motion that you can get on the right hand. All right. It's getting better, but we could still go all the way to the hand. So, and they used to say that about the bow. The bow, you have to learn big to small. So everything you do on the big scale, you got to do on the small scale, which means, all this kind of stuff that we talk about on the slow notes, you got to do the same thing using just your hand. See that? I call it my first bow arm because this is what I use the most. Down bow, up bow. See that? Down bow, up bow. That's what I use the most for playing. And the arm comes in when there's more volume needed. I get the arm in there and it gives me that speed of the bow. See that? But most of my fiddling, I'll just show you. I'll give you an example. I'll play this tune up to speed and you watch my right arm. That, and you notice how my arm is always following the hand. So I'll go dippy diddle dippy 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 dippy. See that? It's kind of backing it up, kind of coming in after. All right. So that's your eventual goal. And we have some exercises we've done. We've done hand, 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 arm, arm. We've done string changing, which is really good to do if you're only using your hand. That's all the ways that you can improve that. Okay. Now take a breather. We're going to do Devil's. Which one are we going to do first? The Devil's Dream first, and then the Miss McLeod's. That we know to pieces. Julie, what's your shirt say? I love those Keep Calm shirts. What's it? I can't see the bottom now.
Oh, mine says keep calm and drive electric.
Awesome. Well, that's the calm part is when you're trying to wait for it to charge, right?
Well, yeah, but we have I have an electric car. We have a charger in our garage, so we just plug it in. We get back home, and it's overnight, always ready to go. You can set it so it just charges at the low rates, and we find the next day we're always ready to go.
And what kind of electric car do you have?
Chevy Bolt.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one. And what's the range on it? How far can you go before you got to plug in again?
After full charge, we can go about 450 kilometers.
That's not bad at all.
No, it's they've really improved them over the years. So, and then you can do a fast charge. You can get back up to charge it in less than 20 minutes at a fast charger. So.
Wow. Now, the electric car thing that, like, on the East Coast, there's no chargers, right? That's the big problem. And my friend Patrick Dunn, I played in a band with him in Newfoundland, but he has a production company, like he does video production, mostly for like oil companies and different companies, like videos about stuff you do in the workplace. But he was doing this one that was showing the refinery out in the southern shore of Newfoundland. And he wanted to do this particular shoot without burning any gas. That was and he has a Tesla, right? So it was brilliant what he did. He called the campground that's near where he was doing this shoot, and he rented an RV lot for the day with a 60 amp charger, and he used that to charge his car. It's really cool.
No, that's it. If you plan things, you can plan it out. I mean, we never drive that far. The furthest is down to see my brother down sort of Fort Erie way. But so we can easily get there and back on a charge. But if we do choose to go further, it's nice to know you've got some options.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I never thought of doing that, but and it worked out well for him. That you can find those in the middle of nowhere usually, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
kind of handy. But we have a hybrid. We bought a hybrid, and when we first got it, we were kind of disappointed because it was basically burning gas at the same rate as the Kia that we had before. Now our hybrid is a Highlander. It's a much larger rig. It can hold 7 people, right? And 2 tubas and all that stuff. So it's much bigger. But now that we've learned how to use it, we've gotten the gas mileage down to, like, Jennifer says she can get it down to like 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers, which is extremely good for such a large rig, So we didn't go full electric because we do a lot of road trips. Like, Jennifer's on the road back and forth to Kitchener almost every day. I play out of town all the time, and of course we go to the East Coast very often, so we couldn't go straight up electric as much as we wanted to, but we did get the hybrid. But the unfortunate thing is that because we got a big hybrid, we weren't qualified for any of the rebates from the government. So because it's big, and I think that's dumb, because I can take more people in an environmentally friendly way than, say, an electric sedan, but I don't get their $5,000 rebate. And same in Nova Scotia. And apparently they're just going to start doing it, but it's too late for us. But we're trying to do the right thing, It costs a fortune, that hybrid car. I told the kids this car is going to have to last us for 30 years, for God's sakes. It costs so much more than a regular car, but I think, and my brother Jimmy says that the Highlander, basically I won't have to get another car, really. If I take care of it, it'll last forever, which is true. It's a Toyota. But anyway, okay, I've distracted you enough. Let's do it. So Devil's Dream twice, Miss McLeod's twice. Okay, and I think it was kind of... I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. How did that feel for everybody? It was a bit slow, I know, but for the Miss McLeods, but how did it feel? Is it okay? Okay, so that's going to be a good practicing tempo for this set, for this particular set. And then we'll try it faster and we'll tackle the challenges next week. You've got a good plan, though. You know that mostly it's the string changing, right? And the intonation to get used to for the Devil's Dream. You already know what you got to get used to for Miss McLeod's. It's more string changing and more key of A. But there's some double stops you can do in that one that we've practiced in the key of A. That might be good to do too. So I'd like to get that a little bit faster and a little bit more comfortable next time. But also, I've been thinking about slow ones because I feel like it's been a while since we've done a slow one. What's the last slow air that we did even? Like, I'm trying to think of it because the songs are a little different. I'm trying to think of a straight up slow air. Like we did Rosebud of Allendale, but that was a long time ago. What's the last slow one we did?
We did Fields of Athenry. I don't know if you'd really consider that a slow air, but it was slower.
It's slow, yeah, and it is, but it's a song, and we did that. Now that was a while ago too, and Elaine sent me a very, very nice video of it there last week. It was very, very nice. But anyway,
you had mentioned Ashokan Farewell that you were gonna. Maybe we should maybe learn that one.
Absolutely. Good idea. Jay Younger. Let me play it for you here in our last few minutes so you can kind of get familiar and it'll end up getting recorded there. And that's what we'll tackle next week. So I'll make a video of it and I'll find a good version because there's a lot of bad versions out there, I've noticed. And we'll get it. It's one of those ones you really should learn. It was only written in the 80s. But it's a really beautiful tune, and it's surprising that it was only written in the 80s because it really does sound like it comes from 1852 or whatever. But no, it was a Jewish guy from New York who wrote it in 1984 for the Ken Burns PBS special called The Civil War. It was the theme music for that miniseries, and it's a gorgeous tune. My dad used to love it. We used to have a harmony part we were doing it. So let me play it for you so you can get familiar, and it'll be ringing around your head all week. Now, don't be frightened by that high D at the very end there. You don't really have to do it. It is in the music, and it's a big challenge. I remember me and my brothers when we were little, like, we couldn't do it at first. We would stay low. We would just do the first ending. So my dad and my brother would go up to the high D there. And I remember the time when I could. And it was very exciting when I could go all the way up there with Sean and play that. But we don't have to do that right away. But I know that there's we've been doing it with the orchestra with Sean McGuire practice. Everybody going up to third position, sixth position. So I don't know. You never know. We might give it a try. You never know. But that's going to be on deck for next week. So we have the jigs that we're trying to get faster and stronger. We have the reels that we're trying to get more of a handle on because that Devil's Dream is it's a challenging one, and we're doing it for the string crossing. So it's, I won't be happy until that feels good for everybody and we're at a decent tempo where it still feels good and not a struggle. So that's what we're going to work on there, putting it together with Miss McLeod's to give yourself a little woo-woo at the end of all that. And then we're going to work on Ashoga. We're going to learn it. I'll make videos of it in the meantime. I'll find a good version of the music, and that's what we'll do next time. Alrighty? Great class today, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Sunday.
Bye then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.